The Good Doctor season premiere was tonight, and I've been wondering just what all of the various hospital, doctor based shows were going to do with their upcoming seasons. And uh, Good Doctor is the first one that I've watched. And it was very interesting. One, to see that, like, whether or not they were going to tackle COVID, and it seems like the Good Doctor is diving headfirst into the pandemic, and I'm very interested to see what their message is going to be regarding the pandemic and just how they are going to portray everything. So initially, it looks like the Good Doctor is not pulling too many punches on the pandemic front. Uh, the first thing before the show even starts, so they put a big disclaimer. This is not real. This is fictional events, but COVID-19 is a very real threat. Please wear your mask. And I think that is a good and necessary way to start the show, because there's a lot of varied response to the pandemic, to COVID, to wearing a mask, and I think that it's very important to have these issues tackled by all the shows and various media outlets that we watch, especially in prime time when lots and lots of eyes are on it. So, all right, that aside, let's get into the actual show. So, this takes us back in time to the start of the pandemic. Before it starts before we even really had any pandemic going on in North America, to the first few cases. Over the course of the show, we jump ahead, I believe, 3 weeks in total, to when things started to get a little more serious. We see the hospital kind of have their COVID ICU. The rest of the hospital is at least partially trying to run normally, and kind of get hit at the end of the episode with, maybe that wasn't the best idea. So, we're seeing how things sort of evolved, and really from the healthcare side of things, how things evolved from, COVID's out there, to, people are getting COVID here, to mass sort of lockdown at the hospital and with all the staff, to and sort of ending the episode with the asymptomatic, or basically an infected person going into the uninfected area of the hospital. So all of that was kind of interesting to see, and it really seemed like they were not pulling any punches here. So we're basically seeing tragedy after tragedy after tragedy all through the episode. We have the guy who comes in, he's got COVID, but it's not bad, so he goes home, comes back a couple weeks later, and the doctor's like, "Why'd you come back? I only told you to come back if it got worse." And then turns out it did get worse. And we end his story with that character going onto a ventilator and having to hang up the phone with his wife who was on the phone with him as much as she possibly could be, to spend as much time with him, even though she couldn't be there with him. And then we have the mother, who is our initial patient in the show, who gets blown off with, it's just the flu, it's not COVID, don't worry about it. Sore throat is not a sign of COVID, so you're fine. And comes back later and is basically immediately in critical care on a ventilator, eventually dies. And then we have the story with the daughter, wanting to spend one last moment with her mother, and basically being told by the hospital, "No, you're not allowed." Trying to ask, like, "Hey, can I give this thing to my mother?" "No, you're not allowed." "Hey, can I get my mom's necklace back now that she's passed away?" "No, you're not allowed." And that heartbreaking scene at the end when we see Claire go into the storage room that has all the personal belongings of all the COVID patients, kind of just heartbreaking that all these people's belongings just kind of stuffed haphazardly into this room, and, basically put on hold until the pandemic goes away. Just like I said, story after story after story, and then the third patient that we really spent a lot of time with was pregnant mother who has COVID, ends up going on a ventilator, and she's stuck on a ventilator while her child is born. So this mother has had this baby, the baby's healthy, the mom's on the ventilator. Just very hard. This is normally we watch TV to get an escape from reality, and the good doctor is kind of giving us a big punch in the face of what reality actually is right now, and especially for healthcare workers and frontline workers. It's was a little hard to watch, and I think that in some aspects the good doctor really has done some great things throughout its career, and looks like they're not trying to pull any punches here on this new season, and it's going to be very interesting to see how they tackle everything and how everything progresses. I didn't even get to talk about our main characters. Park, he's got his story. He's basically stuck away from his I think ex-wife, is that right? Ex-wife and son, was planning on moving back with them, is basically now stuck. Yeah, he's living with Shaun, has no contact outside of phone calls. We have Shaun, who is dating Leah now, but quarantined away from her, and very, very broken up that he can't have sex with her. And then we have Glassman, who is freshly married, and all of the pandemic stuff is really putting a lot of stress on that relationship, even though they're both essentially just stuck at home. His wife is going stir crazy. He's very anxious and stressed out by everything, even though he's just sitting there working at home. And putting a major strain on their relationship, which is something that happened to many, many, many couples over the past year. All right, I'm going to wrap things up there. Not my normal style of show, but I wanted to jump in and talk about it. We did 1 or 2 episodes of it last season, and maybe try to do more regular updates this season. So as always, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, we'll see you later.